Hello! Today, I'd like to discuss a book titled The Third Alternative by the renowned American author Stephen R. Covey. Covey, a leading management guru of the 20th century, was recognized by Time magazine as one of the 25 most influential Americans ever. He was also dubbed by The Economist as the most forward-thinking management thinker. Interestingly, Covey penned this book as he approached 80, considering it both his last and best work. The central idea revolves around a concept called the third alternative. So what's this about? When faced with a tough choice, instead of merely yielding to one person's perspective or another's, the concept encourages collaboration to create a fresh third option that benefits both parties, aiming for a win-win outcome. In our daily lives, we often find ourselves stuck between two opposing viewpoints. It seems like the only way forward is to either go with one idea or the other, making collaboration seem impossible. However, this book introduces a novel way of thinking. Rather than sticking to our individual approaches, it urges us to transcend them, working together to find a smarter, more advantageous solution. In simple terms, it's about seeking mutual benefits. Covey termed this mindset as the third alternative. Grasping how to effectively harness this approach can aid us in navigating numerous challenges in our everyday life and work. Covey has penned several impactful books, including his mega bestseller, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a must-read for achievers. The main idea of the book we're discussing today is, in fact, derived from a principle in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, creative cooperation. Covey felt that the earlier book didn't delve deep enough into this vital principle, prompting him to dedicate an entire book to it. He regards this principle as the most enlightening, influential, and inspiring. The Third Alternative has garnered a wealth of positive reviews since its release. Let's dive into its contents. The book is structured straightforwardly. The initial 2 chapters explain the concept of the third alternative, while subsequent chapters showcase its application in various scenarios, such as in the workplace, home, schools, and broader society. I'll break down the book's essence into 3 sections for you. 1. Why possessing a third alternative mindset is crucial. 2. How to cultivate this third alternative awareness. 3. Ways to implement the third alternative. Section 1. Let's start by addressing why it's vital to have a third alternative mindset. As previously mentioned, Covey's third alternative concept suggests that most conflicts have 2 sides: the first choice, which is my way, and the second choice, which is your way. The third alternative is our shared solution, a perspective that seeks mutual benefits. At first glance, this might seem like a no-brainer. Many understand the value of collaboration, so why would Covey pen an entire book emphasizing such an obvious point? It's because the concept of the third alternative hasn't been given the attention it deserves. Many of us struggle to truly aim for win-win outcomes. We often act based on our ingrained thought patterns, making it challenging to step outside our limited perspectives, genuinely consider others' viewpoints, and collaborate effectively. For instance, it's natural to think, my team is good, yours is bad, or my family, my company, and my child are beyond criticism. Any challenge to these beliefs feels like a personal attack, prompting defensive reactions. These binary thought patterns underpin various societal conflicts, be it between liberals and conservatives, employees and management, parents and children, or buyers and sellers. Take, for example, a lush green piece of land. An environmentalist might argue for its preservation, emphasizing the importance of safeguarding nature. A valid stance. On the other hand, a developer might see an opportunity to clear the land, build structures, generate economic value, and benefit society, a perspective that also holds water. In traditional problem-solving, you'd either preserve the land untouched or completely transform it into urban structures. Placing both parties in a debate would likely lead to a heated argument. But what if there's a third alternative? A solution that both preserves the environment and offers commercial value, like developing an eco-friendly community. As long as both parties are open to collaboration, better solutions can emerge. Covey's approach has benefited countless individuals, aiding them in navigating work challenges, marital disputes, school-related issues, family misunderstandings, and more. Whether in the boardroom or the kitchen, this methodology works like a panacea, resolving conflicts and bridging differences. Section 2. Building on our discussion about the importance of the third alternative, let's delve into the second part. How can we cultivate this third alternative mindset? If embracing this mindset leads to discovering new, mutual solutions, how can we shape our thinking towards it? Is there a structured and scientific approach to guide our thoughts in this direction? Covey breaks it down into 3 steps, which I'll explain in detail. Step 1. Refrain from labeling ourselves and others. We often categorize ourselves and others using labels, such as parent, child, or employee. This is a simplified way we perceive the world. While this approach can be efficient, helping us quickly understand our surroundings and the people in them, it can hinder communication. We may perceive each other through these narrow lenses, leading to interactions based solely on these roles, limiting deeper understanding. Covey posits that we're largely constrained by our cultural backgrounds. Despite surface similarities, every individual is unique, and no single label can define a person holistically. For instance, labeling someone an environmentalist only indicates their shared viewpoint on environmental issues with certain individuals. But that person is also perhaps a spouse, a parent, an employee, and so much more. Recognizing the limitations of such cultural or role-based labels enables us to see people for who they truly are, creative individuals with unique thoughts. Only by understanding these constraints can we truly appreciate our narrow perspectives and recognize that neither we nor others have all the answers. This realization paves the way for genuine communication, fostering understanding, listening, and collaboration. For instance, Covey's son, influenced by his father's teachings, never accepted answers at face value. When he faced challenges getting into his preferred college course due to it being full, he sought his father's advice. Covey told him that if he merely saw himself as a student, bound by the institution's rules, there'd be no way forward. But viewing himself as an independent individual would open up possibilities. By understanding the root of the issue, whether it was a lack of space or filled quotas, and discussing solutions with those in charge, he might find a way. Ultimately, through effective negotiation, Covey's son successfully enrolled in his desired class. This example underscores how labels can limit our creative problem-solving. By breaking free from these confines, we unlock a myriad of potential solutions. Covey provides a common workplace scenario to illustrate the importance of egalitarian communication, negotiating a raise. A young man, having accepted a position with a low salary, soon became discontented and approached his boss about a raise. Typically, bosses face a dilemma in such situations: either grant the raise or risk losing the employee. However, this particular boss utilized the third alternative approach. Instead of discussing the raise, they engaged in a deep conversation about the young man's life and work. The boss asked for feedback on the company and suggestions for improvement. Through their discussion, the boss realized that the young man had been significantly undervalued. As a result, he was assigned more responsibilities and eventually became a partner. Both achieved their objectives. The young man received his desired raise, and the boss gained a valuable colleague. This demonstrates how respectful dialogue can lead to mutually beneficial outcomes. Thus, when communicating with others, it's essential to see them as independent individuals, not merely through predefined labels. Step 2. Seek to understand before being understood. This mindset revolves around respect and understanding, emphasizing the critical art of listening. Covey introduces the Native American tradition of the talking stick. Historically, the talking stick symbolized peaceful communication. The holder of the stick had the floor, and no one could interrupt them until they felt genuinely heard and understood. Regrettably, many falter in this aspect of communication, often prematurely judging others' perspectives and dominating conversations with their opinions. For instance, The book cites an example of a man who affectionately nicknamed his wife Contradictor because her immediate response to anything said was to counter it. If their daughter lamented that nobody liked her, the mother's instant rebuttal was, "Nonsense, everyone adores you." On the surface, such interactions might seem benign, possibly even supportive. However, they stifle genuine communication from the outset. The daughter might feel her sentiments are ludicrous and that she's misunderstood, leading to further withdrawal. Doesn't this situation sound all too familiar? So, what's the ideal communication approach? It involves resisting the urge to immediately offer opinions and instead pass the talking stick to the other person. By asking probing questions, you can encourage them to express their genuine thoughts. This process demands patience and time. For instance, asking the child why she feels disliked or if there might be another interpretation of events that could change her feelings can open doors to deeper understanding. The phrase, "seek to understand before being understood," essentially conveys the idea that while you might not always agree, it's vital first to comprehend the other's viewpoint rather than imposing your own beliefs and thoughts. Section 3. How to implement the third alternative. We've previously discussed the importance and benefits of the third alternative mindset. Many dilemmas that seem to present only two options often hide a superior third choice. Now, let's delve into how to actualize this third alternative. The process involves three distinct steps: inquire, define success criteria, and create the third alternative. Step 1. Inquire. The first step in crafting the third alternative is to inquire, determining if the other party is willing to collaborate in finding a superior solution. This typically starts with a straightforward question, such as, "Are you open to working with me to find a better resolution?" While it seems simple, this step is crucial. It calls upon the other party to set aside their judgment and preconceptions to venture into the unknown, which can be daunting. Especially when trust is low, getting the other party to say yes can be challenging. But whether they agree wholeheartedly or just to appease, it's a promising start. It signifies both parties have transitioned from adversaries to allies, jointly striving for an optimal outcome. For instance, during a disagreement, you might initiate the dialogue by asking, "Are you willing to explore a better solution with me?" While most open-minded individuals would be inclined to agree, they might assert, "I'm open to better solutions, but I believe strongly in my approach and won't compromise." In response, you can counter with, "I'm not asking you to compromise. I'm suggesting we jointly craft something superior to both our current views. This solution doesn't exist yet. We need to create it together." This approach often eases defenses, transitioning the conversation from a confrontational negotiation to collaborative problem-solving. Step 2. Define success criteria. This step emphasizes listing both parties' criteria and aspirations, then collaboratively establishing a mutual benchmark to gauge if the final solution satisfies both parties. For example, many family disputes arise from a lack of objective criteria. Consider a wife feeling her husband doesn't spend enough quality time with the family. The husband might believe he's already dedicating ample time. To address this, the couple could agree on a set number of hours per week for family interactions, with distractions like work set aside. With an objective standard, such disagreements can be more easily resolved. Step 3. Create the third alternative. Covey views this as a brainstorming process, emphasizing the belief that better options always exist when facing challenges. This method closely resembles a brainstorming session, but is termed the magic theater concept, inspired by Hermann Hesse's novel Steppenwolf. The magic theater represents an unrestricted realm where any idea can exist. Unlike traditional brainstorming, which tends to be conservative, the magic theater encourages wild, out-of-the-box thinking. For instance, during negotiations, you might suggest playing the magic theater game, where participants can pitch their most outrageous ideas without immediate judgment. Ideas are visually represented, perhaps on a whiteboard, culminating in a board filled with diverse suggestions. Afterward, participants can collaboratively choose the best solution. In the Magic Theatre game, certain rules are paramount. First, participants must recognize it's a game, simply a thought experiment which fosters open dialogue. Second, avoid hastily dismissing any idea, no matter how absurd. Instead, nurture and encourage all contributions. Third, employ tools that foster creativity, like mind maps or whiteboard sketches, ensuring all ideas are valued and displayed. Lastly, set a time limit, maximizing participant engagement within that time frame. If you're facing a dilemma, consider utilizing this method to gather innovative solutions. Summary: as we wrap up this book, let me give you a holistic recap of its essence, presented in three main sections. Section 1 emphasizes the significance of recognizing the third alternative mindset. When confronted with dilemmas, we often find ourselves stuck between two choices: either follow one's perspective or the other's. However, by embracing the third alternative mindset, we can break free from this binary thinking and discover innovative solutions. This approach can aid in addressing various practical challenges in both our professional and personal lives. Section 2 outlines the 3 steps to cultivate the third alternative mindset. 1. First, we discuss the importance of not labeling ourselves or others. It's vital to see individuals as independent thinkers and recognize the constraints that culture and roles might impose. 2. Next, Finding You emphasizes the art of listening. It's about understanding another person's viewpoint without prematurely interrupting the conversation, ensuring a deep comprehension of their stance. 3. Lastly, Collaborating with You focuses on co-creating the third alternative. It's about collective effort, pushing boundaries to forge a fresh solution. Section 3 details the 3 steps to implement the third alternative. 1. Begin with inquiry, determining if the other party is open to collaboratively seeking a superior solution. Their willingness, genuine or otherwise, is a positive starting point. 2. Then, define success criteria. By listing mutual benchmarks and aspirations and agreeing on a shared standard, it provides a unified direction for joint efforts. 3. Conclude with the creation of the third alternative. This involves brainstorming novel solutions, gathering as many diverse and innovative ideas as possible. Essentially, at this juncture, the third alternative has been successfully crafted.